You found us. Hello, and welcome back. You're tuned in to Wine in 9, where all you need to learn about wine in 9 minutes or less. Here's your host, Bob Cappuccino.
Anyone who's ever shopped for anything that you'd eat or drink has been bombarded with all kinds of new and hopefully healthier options. Organic, vegan, biodynamic, all natural, non-GMO. It'll make your head swim. At least that's what happens to me. Well, it didn't take long for the wine industry, the global wine industry, by the way, to hop on board. Glass half full, the health considerations. Glass half empty, pandering and more sales. For me, I believe that the wine industry wants to provide better and healthier products. If you're a wine person, your glass is always half full. Most of us have ethical reasons for going organic or vegan, and that's a good thing. But there's one thing I want to get into briefly with you: taste. Whether they were organically grown, sustainably farmed, or biodynamically produced, I've never discerned a measurable difference. That may be just my palate. I don't claim to have any extraordinary powers. You might taste the difference, so experiment. As it is, you should enjoy these wines as companions to the same foods and cuisines you would with conventional varietals. So here we go. First, organic wines. One of the biggest stories in winedom over the past 10 years has been the advent of wines made from organically grown grapes, sustainably farmed grapes, and wines crafted biodynamically. 25 to 30 years ago, when organic wines first appeared, many were the result of poor, even negligent, winemaking practices. They were dismally flawed with off odors and nasty flavors. They were stridently criticized by writers, and they were shunned and avoided by the majority of consumers. Today, more proficient and careful winemaking has cleaned up the act, and only a trickle of questionable wines remain. Wines are no longer shunted into the corner of a wine store. Now, wines in these categories are found with other wines on the main shelves. Let's talk about these wines and how they're made and how to enjoy them. Wines that are labeled organic are very loosely defined by the U.S. government. Grapes must be cultivated without the use of chemical fertilizers, mildewcide, fungicides, and pesticides. The use of elemental sulfur is allowed in the vineyard, and no sulfites may be added. Now, sulfites, we'll talk about them in a moment, but they must fall below the stringent standards set by statute. Now, a vineyard can be certified organic by a couple of independent organizations and registered as such so that organic can be shown on the label. Now, it takes a minimum of 5 years for a vineyard to clear all traces of chemicals. So if you have an old vineyard that had chemical use in the past, you got to wait a while before you can actually convert it to an organic vineyard. And certifying organizations will conduct regular, unscheduled inspections to check out the vineyards and making sure they're being maintained. U.S. law does not allow the term organic wine, but will allow producers to state made from organically grown grapes on the label. In Europe, all certifications are subject to stricter rules than in the U.S. opposes. Interestingly enough, the U.S. doesn't accept EU guidelines. Now, to me, that's more a matter of politics than it is of science. Most European wineries have always followed organic or at least sustainable guidelines. However, getting the official certification is expensive, so many simply don't apply for it. I don't want to get too technical, but there are two things I'd like to briefly put on the table: sustainable farmer and biodynamics. First, sustainable farming. Now, sustainable farming is a conscientious effort to do a minimal amount of vineyard treatments and the least intervention within the winery regimen. They may use minimal amounts of chemicals and fertilizers, but as a grower friend once mentioned to me, we're farmers. We don't have a lot of money to pay for expensive chemicals. So when we can avoid them, we certainly do. Next, biodynamics, a very, very hotly debated subject. Step one in biodynamics is being organic. This has picked up quite a bit of popularity, especially in Europe. It follows a vineyard regime based on ancient practices like the phases of the moon, determining when certain jobs in the cellar and in the vineyard are done. Organic fertilizers are packed into animal horns and interred in the vineyard, using only natural wild yeast to conduct the primary fermentation. Now, proponents swear by these methods as the most natural and healthiest way to grow grapes and make wine. Naysayers claim it's all just mumbo-jumbo. But you have to respect these winemakers' beliefs. Neither side can be proved wrong, but both produce great wine. Now to vegan wines. I've been asked about vegan-friendly wines, so what makes a wine vegan? Well, it's the process. No animal products such as gelatin from bones, egg whites, or isinglass, which is made from the innards of fish, have been used in the final clarification of the wine. So that's what makes them vegan. Now lastly, for those who might moan, how can I enjoy my fave red wines with vegetarian or vegan meals? That's easy. I suggest they pair them with roasted root vegetables, grilled portobello mushrooms, or a mixed wild mushroom fricassee, grilled eggplant, and savory vegetable stews. All are great matches for great red wines. Now before we finish, I really want to say a few things about sulfites in wines. Sulfites occur naturally no matter which procedure a winery follows. So I'd like to mention, all products that include fermentation in their production contain sulfites. Beer, bread, wine, all of them. Actually, there are more sulfites on a loaf of bread than there are on a bottle of wine. Folks who often blame sulfites as the culprits that give them headaches when they drink are probably wrong. Histamines from the skins of grapes are more probably the reason that people react to wine, coffee, and even chocolate. Now, of course, red wines have more histamines than white wines. Sulfites are a natural preservative that precipitates by the fermentation process. Additional sulfites in the past have been added by some wineries to add to the preservation of the wine and to hold the color for a longer period of time. Now, I'm not a doctor, but taking an antihistamine before you drink wine might alleviate the problem. Ask your physician if that could be the cause. Now, let's bottom line our discussion back to where I began. There is likely no discernible difference in taste across any of these wines. Again, I don't claim to have any magical mystery power, but I've been around the wine block, and my opinion is shared by most. But, like anything else about wine, any choices have to be your choices, not mine. Not of any other experts either. Just when you try a new wine, try something that's vegan or organic, and you might be surprised. So that's all for today. Another wine in 9 for the annals. I'm Bob Cappuccino.
Thanks for listening to Wine in 9. We hope we used your 9 minutes wisely. If so, or if not, please let us know. Give us your feedback, good, bad, whatever. We'd love to hear from you. Look for Wine in 9 across social media. We're at winein9.com, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So grab a glass and join, subscribe, download, tweet, whichever you choose. Or you can go to our home base at winein9.com. Want to email? We're at info@winein9.com.